Hey guys, so thanks for joining me. Wanted to get a video out there talking about and explaining different methodologies that you can use to set up things like produce boxes or meat boxes or fish packages, really anything that you want to combine into a box subscription type scenario. So a few different things we need to take a look at. One of the places I like to start is where are you going to house these products? Are they products that you want to be available to customers on the front end website where they can purchase these items separately outside of the box? Or are they items that you would always only include into a box? So that's a decision you need to make on your end. Obviously, under your featured products category, you've built out your structure here. And you can have a product that lives in the local produce category as well as local fruits, as well as in a box. If you've got products that would never sell outside of a box, you might want to create a sub-products category out here with featured products. So any category you create out here with featured products, the customers wouldn't see because it's outside of your normal category structure. So for some people, it makes sense to go ahead and create a sub-products category. That's where we would house all of the products that we would put into a box that we don't want customers to see. Now, that being said, you can still have a product that's in the subproducts category out here. And if you want to sell it on the website in a separate category, you can put it into an additional category of, say, local fruits or local produce. So either way, it might make sense to create this subproducts category just to kind of separate those out from your regular products. So once you've got your category created, you want to make sure that you have all of your different products that would go into a box created. So whether those are almonds or Bartlett pears or broccoli or carrots, you want to create all those different products individually. And so when you're creating those, I'll show you a couple designations that you can make regarding putting these into a box. So we've created a carrots product here. It's pretty much a normal product. I've got it in my local produce category. I've also got it in my Sunshine Farm category. It's also a featured product. I've given it a price of $4. And if I open up advanced options here, you'll see I've checked box that it's a sub-product. And that just means that it's available to be put into a box. So when you're searching for items that you want to put in your box, it's only going to show you items that were marked as a sub-product. You'll see when you choose that, you've also got another checkbox that shows up here called Include Subproduct Price. Most of the time, you're not going to want to do that. So out of the box, we've set it up so that if you're selling a product within a box, the price of that product will be ignored on the customer end. So in other words, all of your subproducts would be $0 because the customer is actually paying for the price of the box itself. If you want to make it so that if a customer adds this item to their box, let's say it's one of the kind of substitution items you've put into the box with maybe a zero default quantity, you could checkbox include the subproduct price, and if the customer added this item into their box, it would actually increase the price of the box by $4 or whatever the price is you've assigned to this product. You'll see another option that shows up here when we checkbox subproduct is subproduct group. And I've got a few groups set up here. I'll show you where you can set those up. But I've created veggies, fruits, pantry, dairy, meats, main dish, side dish, dessert, etc. So a few different groups that satisfy different boxes I've got. So I could designate that this particular product should always be in the veggies subproduct group. You don't have to choose a group or create groups. This makes sense for companies that have a box that contains items from several different kind of categories. So let's say you've got a box that has some pantry items in it. You've got a box that has fruits and veggies in it, maybe some dairy, and they're all mixed together in the box. That's when it makes sense to set up subproduct groups so that when the customer is looking at the box on the front end, it's clearly defined. Here's all the dairy items. Here are all the pantry items. Here are the fruit items. Here are the veggie items. So it just displays nicely to the customer, as well as you'll see when we set up this box, you'll be able to set maximum quantities per subproduct group here. So you'd be able to say the box itself will have a maximum quantity of 20, but within the veggies subgroup, you can only have a maximum quantity of 10. And within the fruits subgroup, you can only have a maximum quantity of 10. Things like that. So that's a choice you need to make is whether you're going to assign subproduct groups or whether the customer will just kind of see everything that's in the box all in one space. So you'll want to create all your different subproducts and mark those appropriately with either no group or at least just checkbox that it's a subproduct. And let me show you really quick where we set up those groups. That's actually under products here and then extra fields. So if you go to products, extra fields, you'll see that by default, there's a field called subproduct group. It's a drop down. You don't need to change that. All you would need to change is the values here. And you can change these really at any time. So if you want to add others in there, you see it's just one per line. You could add in another entry there. Everything else should remain default, so don't change anything else here. And then you would just hit add update once you had added new values, and those will automatically show up in that drop down we just looked at. So let's pretend we've created all of our subproducts. So that's your apples, your pears, your veggies, broccoli, maybe some pantry items, dairy items. You've marked all those as subproducts. Now you just need to create your box, so your main parent product. So you're just going to go to add new product. You're going to fill out the details as normal. Your product name, SKU. Probably don't need a supplier for the box because it'll be several suppliers. Product teaser, that'll be important as far as this is great for a family of 4 if you like root veggies, that type of thing. So fill all this out as a normal product, put it into maybe your produce boxes category, give it the box price, $49.99, whatever it is, and then just hit save. So you just need to fill out the basics on this. I'm going to go up here and search for a box I've already created so we can take a look at it. I'll go with the fruit and veggie variety box. So this is, again, just a normal product I've created, given it a price. My box is $25. Once you've created your parent box and you've saved it, then you can go to the top up here to the show options section. And I can go into subproducts. And when you click subproducts, this is where we can actually define what the subproducts are for a given week, or what the behavior of the subproducts are, what all you can swap out and change as far as quantities and value groups. All those different features are set up back here. So first and foremost, I've checkboxed that it has subproducts. Okay, so that's telling the system this is a product that's going to have subproducts. Read only, I would only checkbox that if I didn't want customers to be able to make changes. So in that manner, they would be able to view what's in the box, but they wouldn't be able to change any quantities. Type here, this is a drop down. I've set mine to permanent just because I don't want to have to change the contents for the demo each week here. Most likely you're going to choose per week because the contents of your box will change per week. And so when you choose per week, you'll see that it gives us some other options down here where we can choose which week we're editing the subproducts of. So I could highlight any day next week if I want to work with the subproducts for next week. I could highlight any week or any day all the way out into the future if I want to post them for December or January of next year. You can highlight any day of that week, and you'll flip over to be working with that week. So you want to choose the week that you're working with. So again, under type here, you'll most likely choose per week. Permanent, this is more of a useful tool for things like recipes. So something where you're not necessarily going to let the customer have different contents each week. You're going to post what the contents are of the recipe, and they could still subscribe to it as an every week or every other week or once per month item. But maybe that's a recipe for Judd's Famous Chili, and that's going to include the chili powder and the ground beef and the diced tomatoes and the onions and the garlic and all the other stuff that I would need to create that recipe, all in one box. So I'm going to keep mine at permanent just so I don't have to change this. I encourage you to change it to per week and then choose the week you want to work with. One of the first fields you're going to see next is maximum quantity of subproducts allowed. So this confuses some people. It's not the total number of items in the box, it's the total quantity of items in the box. So if I have 5 strawberries and 2 tomatoes, that's a total quantity of 7. So that would be 7 out of my 28 total allowed for this box. So you want to figure out what the total quantity of your box is going to be for each item. Add that up, the default box contents. That would be your maximum quantity of subproducts allowed. And then if you are using those subgroups, you can set what the maximum quantity of each subgroup should be. So you'll see my max for the box is 28. and I've got veggies and fruits in this box. And so I'm going to say you can have a maximum of 23 quantity veggies and a maximum of 5 quantity fruits. The rest of these I've just left at 0 because I'm not going to include items from those subgroups into my box. They're there for other boxes that I might set up. So then as we scroll down here, you'll see I've chosen which subproducts are going to be in my box. The way I did that is I just clicked Add New Subproduct. And you can click that as many times as you want. You'll see it creates line items for you to work with. And within that line item, you can actually put your cursor into this field and start typing the name of a product. I could type, the letter A, just to come up with matches. Just like any other field in the system where you start typing and it comes up with matches, it's looking for subproducts in the system. So I could now choose a match, say cheddar cheese, and this first quantity or this first column is the default quantity. So this is what the box is going to come with by default. That could be a real number as far as 5, and then the max quantity I could say is 5. So that means that they couldn't increase the quantity of my cheddar cheese. They could decrease it though, and that would open up a slot where maybe they could add, as you see, more strawberries. So strawberries comes with a default quantity of 5, but you could have up to 8. That means you'd have to reduce the quantity on something else in order to increase that. So you can add as many subproducts in here as you want and set your default quantity, what it's coming with by default, and then your maximum quantity, what the customer could have if they reduce something else. You'll see it shows you the price, the retail price of the item, shows you the cost if you've filled that out, and then it shows you the group if you've assigned that. So I've chosen to sort this list by group, so that way I can easily see, all right, I've got 23 total veggies included in my box right now. You'll see up here we said we wanted a maximum quantity of 23 in our veggies. So it looks like we've satisfied that default condition for veggies. Fruits grouped together here looks like we've got a total of 5. And if we scroll to the top, we had set our maximum in fruits to a quantity of 5. So we're looking good. We've got our default quantities for the box created. Let me delete a couple of these extra line items. And our cheddar cheese, we'll take that out. So you'll see also at the bottom here, total price, that's the retail price of each of these individual items added up. So if the customer were to add each of these default quantities of these items to their order, that's what it would total. And then your cost, again, if you fill that out per product, is right here. So it gives you an idea of the cost of the box you're creating and what the retail price would be. You'll see it also says 33 out of 28 allowed subproducts. So I've got too many subproducts in here by default, and I would need to adjust that. You could sort by any of these columns. You'll see you could also change what the supplier is for this particular week for cherry tomatoes, for example. You can change that on the fly as you're building your box. So that's in general how you would build a box. Again, you can set it permanent or per week. The other options here, per day. If you had a multi-day deliveries where you've got somebody on a Monday and a Wednesday route, maybe you've got a different box on Mondays and Wednesdays because you do twice a week delivery. That would allow you to set what the contents were per day of the week if you wanted to. Permanent from category, it's a different function, more allows customers to browse through a category and build their box based off of that. I don't recommend using that. I think that the best options here are permanent and per week and per day. So you fill out your maximums, you add all of your different subproducts you want in here, your default quantity and your maximum quantity. You can actually drag and drop these around. So you'll see my cursor turns different, and I can drag Bartlett pears to be up at the top of the list. You could also use these position number fields. That'll control how they show up to customers on the front end. So obviously you'd want to group certain things together that are related. So what does this look like to the customer on the front end? Let's take a look at that really quick. I'm just going to go to customers, search for customers, pick a random customer here, and we'll log in and see what they see. So if I go to store here, and let's go into produce boxes, and you'll notice that customers can click what's inside and actually see what's inside the box if you've populated it for a particular week. So that's kind of a cool function. If I add this fruit and veggie variety box to my order, then I go in to my cart, you'll see I could customize that right now because I've populated what the contents are for that box. And if I click Customize Box, they have a dedicated page where they're just looking at this particular box. They can see what comes in it, any subgroups you guys have set up, and start making some changes. So you'll see it says items left to add 0 because we've maxed it out with our default quantities. So it tells us carrots default quantity 10, max quantity 12, cherry tomatoes 3, max quantity 5, can't add more zucchini, etc. So we can easily start reducing the quantity here. Let's say I don't like zucchini, or I don't need 10 of them. I could reduce that to 5. You'll see it says items left to add 5, and it dynamically updates over here as well. So now I've got the ability to increase some of the other stuff that I wanted. Now I still have 1 substitution remaining, so I'm going to have to increase those zucchinis back up to 6. Fruits, my other category. And I could click this up here to bounce down to a specific category. Now I can make swaps within this particular category. You'll see I can get the descriptions of each subproduct, etc. So let's say I don't like strawberries. I can reduce those, and now it doesn't come with Bartlett pears by default, but I can increase my Bartlett pears. So now I've just added Bartlett pears there. If I try and go above the 2 there, it says sorry, you can't have more than 28 products in the fruit and veggie variety box. So this is going to give the customer feedback as they're going along. If I reduce my zucchini here down to 4, where I've got 2 left to add, and I try and save, you'll see it says the box still has some substitutions left. Are you sure you want to save it? So it warns the customer that they haven't reached the maximum for the box. So that's how it's going to be displayed on the front end. If we bounce back to the back end here again, and I'll have to log in. One of the things to keep in mind is you want to kind of post what your contents are of the box once and then leave it. So you don't want to post what the contents are and then 2 hours later come back in and say, oh gosh, now I'm going to add some zucchini to it, or I'm going to change a quantity. As soon as you post the contents of a box and you hit update, that's going to populate all the boxes for people that have them in their recurring orders right now. So if I'm subscribed to this particular fruit and veggie variety box, all of a sudden I'll see what's in it and I can start making changes. So customers can be on the site right now performing things like that, and all of a sudden they're going to see the contents of the box and be able to make changes. So it's important to set these once and then leave it. Now, that being said, if you run into a situation where somebody has posted the contents of the box, a couple days later you realize you forgot to put the Bartlett pears in there, that's what this force checkbox is for. So if I add a new subproduct here, or I change a quantity on this, I would want to checkbox force and then hit update, and that will actually force that change into every single person's box. So in that manner, even if they had made changes to their box, the Bartlett pears are going to get added. So it's something to keep in mind. It's something you'd only want to use on rare occasions, because you may end up with a box where somebody had already customized it, and all of a sudden now they've got 29 items instead of 28, which was your max. So something to keep in mind. Make sure you really think through what your box is going to contain. You've checked all your quantities before you click update. If it's if you just posted the contents to your box and 30 seconds later you realize you need to change something, not as big of a deal. You can go ahead and quick change that, click update, and it'll be out there to the customers. So hope that gives you a good idea of what all you can do with boxes. Some people are just going to have a box that has veggies in it, and they don't need these sub-product group values. Other companies, that'll make sense, and it really opens up the opportunity to create boxes with variety. You might want to have a box that contains a little bit of seafood, a little bit of milk, a little bit of veggie, a little bit of fruit, and then some pantry items. So hope you enjoyed. Reach out, let us know if you've got other questions. We'd be happy to hop on a training session with you.